market women in Ughelli metropolis and neighboring communities hijacked the protest that began as early as 6 a.m. on Thursday, August 1, waving green leaves to show solidarity and express their hunger at a particular junction in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State. Now, the women and the youths, numbering over 2,000, they took over the East-West Road, disrupting vehicular movement and preventing travelers from reaching their destinations as the major road was barricaded. Now, Ughelli North Local Government Council Chairman, Honorable Jaro Egbo, advised the protesters to maintain decorum and ensure the protests remain violence-free, assuring them that the state and federal governments would address their demands. Now, this particular story has, let's continue with it. Meanwhile, a group under the auspices of a particular group has advised the Delta State residents, they have appealed to the state to abstain from violent protests and, embrace dialogue and all of that. But seeing that reports have it that these protesters were over 2,000 people with market women involved, it means elderly women were on the street yesterday to protest in Delta State. And this, amongst all the stories that I saw of the protests yesterday and all the reports that were given, this one just had something. I just had this reaction, to this particular story. I had a soft spot somewhere with me seeing, because when we talk about the NSAS protests now, a lot of the parents were very scared. Yeah. Because even though we've had protests in the past, that one was looking like the youths are angry. And parents were seen advising their children to stay away from it. Even though we saw some protests, some women. But now we're seeing that even the parents, elderly people, everybody's on the streets. Let's get your reaction to this story.
Well, that takes us back to what I said before. That's a dimension of hunger. Believe me, hunger has different dimensions. As I'm speaking with you here this morning, I am hungry. But probably my level and dimension of hunger has not gotten to that of another person out there. You understand the point? So for women, for mothers, it pains me if I see some government personnel trying to dismiss the message that the masses are trying to pass by saying that the protest is being politically inspired. It baffles me. Now, how much will you give to mothers? How much will somebody give to those fathers, those mothers, aged women that are protesting on the street? You think they are playing? You think they are joking? I pray it shouldn't get to the point where we begin to see both aged men and women, protesting naked on the streets of Nigeria. I pray it shouldn't get to that point. And that is why the government has to do something as quickly as possible, to address this issue and to reignite hope in the life of Nigerians. Thank God for the president's administrative slogan, which he tagged the renewed hope agenda. Nigerians want to witness and see that hope. They want to, be part of that renewed hope agenda. We don't want to see it on paper. Nigerians have lost hope, so it is the responsibility of government to renew the hope of Nigerians. So nobody should think that our mothers, our fathers, and the youth, that they are joking. It has gotten to that point, and government needs to act.
It has really gotten to that point, but, at the end of the day, we're trying to see the reaction of our leaders to these things. Because it goes way beyond just asking for dialogue and asking the people to come, let's talk about it. These people are not smiling. And people have not been smiling concerning the comment that was made by the Senate president, where he said that, talking about those who want to protest should protest, will be eating and all of that. And then reports having it that Tinubu meets with Wike in the midst of protests. And then different reports have been coming, and this is looking like it's even going to agitate more Nigerians to get into it the more. And I like to ask this question. There have been talks about, don't protest. But with this protest, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see the demands being met?
Sure, yeah. For me, I'm very optimistic about this protest. And I believe something good is going to come out of it. If the government feels they will play politics with it. Maybe as usual, it used to be. For me, I don't see it being easy if the government feels that. So if they are calling for dialogue, they should be ready to listen to what the people are saying and then proffer immediate solution to cushion the effect of what the government policies has, of course, resulted and what it has led us into. So there should be immediate policies, immediate solution to remedy the situation. So for me, I am very much optimistic that at the end of this whole thing, something good is going to come out of it.
Talking about the immediate steps that the government should take now, people called for that, and I like to also ask this question. The government went on to distribute food products around Nigeria, not just food products, fertilizers for agro-experts too. So do you see that as one of the immediate emergency measures to cushion the effect of the hardship?
Yes, that should be one. But the question I like to ask is, how were these products distributed? For instance, the issue of rice and all of that, palliative, I heard of it, but I didn't see, I didn't get. And yet my family...
It's for the vulnerable. It's not for everybody.
That is the problem.
And now, I don't think you're one of them.
Yes, I may not be.
So it's not for you.
Sure, but I am hungry. Now, you see, if government wants to toe that line, it will not really solve the problem. But it can be seen as a temporal measure, a temporal solution. But if you give a family one bag of rice, of which I'm sure no family can take more than one, those that benefited. Now, how long will one bag of rice take a family?
Exactly, and is that what we need right now?
Good, and then if for instance, if I got one bag of rice, won't I buy salt? Won't I buy pepper? Won't I buy tomatoes?
But you agreed it's one of the measures to curb the
that's why I said it could be, but it's not also enough. It's not actually what the people need. It's not actually what the people need. I just cited an example. I said, me, I am hungry, but I didn't get. So if people like me that are also hungry that didn't get will, decide to also step out because some got and then some didn't get, that means the government intervention in that area didn't yield any result, so to say.
It looks like we've never gotten it right with palliatives distribution in Nigeria.
Sure.
So why do we keep distributing palliatives?
You see, for me, palliative distribution, I see it to be very political. Like I said, the issue of fertilizer you just mentioned. How many farmers, how many core farmers, those that are producing, in this part of the country got fertilizer for their farm? You understand what I'm saying? Some of those things do not get to the point, to the end users. They distribute them politically. You now begin to consider what structure and all of that. But these things are supposed to get to those that will use it to improve the livelihood of their family and then, better the society at large. Farmers produce for themselves and for the society too. So once you give out palliative that is intended to affect the life of farmers and it didn't get to them, you have taken them, like 2-3 steps backward. You have taken the society, 4 steps backward. So that is what we're saying. Government must sit back, engage technocrats, engage professionals in these developmental sectors for them to think very critically to ascertain what should be done and how it should be done. And in that kind of decision, the angry youth and the hungry youth, those on the street, their opinion should be considered. Their opinion, their voices should be heard because they are the ones that are directly receiving the impact of whatever the government policies is yielding out.
No matter how we say it's an insult for the government to say they want to give us 50,000 naira monthly, we should not protest. And we say it's an insult for them to be sharing rice to us as if we are hungry people, even though we are, or we say we are. But then at the end of the day, no matter how we say all of these things, right? There's still people in Nigeria. Have you ever been in a place where food products are being distributed before? Have you seen the rush? Have you seen people running over themselves just to get one loaf of bread?
Sure.
Have you seen the fight involved in those kind of scenarios? So that's probably the reason governments will keep, whenever we complain, okay, let's give them rice. After all, even though they say it's whatever, there are still people who run after it.
That is it. That's why for me, I feel that our government policies, usually tilt towards the government. It favors the government instead of the people. Why will you come to give me a tuber of yam when I said that I'm hungry?
Because yam is expensive.
You give me a loaf of bread, you give me one bag of rice. Because I said I'm hungry, I'm protesting that I'm hungry. That is an insult.
But we'll still run after it.
People will still go. But people like me will not go. You understand?
How will we even change the narrative?
Now, I will keep agitating, I will keep appealing to government, I will keep speaking to their conscience. But those that do not have the knowledge or the exposure that I have will rush out there. You see, that's why, let me just say this. At times, I feel that the government is very much intentional with their actions when it comes to depriving the masses, the people, of certain privileges or rights. Right to work, right to employment. Is it not supposed to be exercised by the people? Doesn't we have the right to work for our government, to work and be paid? But where is the job? So the government knows what they are doing. Can't the government build industries and employ youth? I once submitted a proposal to NDDC under the platform of Agricultural Graduates Association of Nigeria, Rivers State chapter. We pushed a proposal that was, developed by the national body of AGAN, that's Agricultural Graduates Association of Nigeria. And we moved that proposal. To submit that proposal was a problem. You understand what I'm saying? And behind the scenes, secretly, somebody that had contact, came to me for a proposal and saw the proposal, and the person wanted to collect the proposal, that they know how to do that. He has a politician that will push the proposal. You understand the point? So if we now release that proposal, and then they will present the proposal, probably get approval, and then there is nothing that will come to the association. So that is the problem. The government knows what to do. You cannot solve hunger problem with a loaf of bread or with bags of rice or with 50,000 naira. That is an insult. It is only the highly vulnerable, the less informed, that we go after that. Government should build industries, open up, ministries, and then employ youth. Believe me, if you visit most state secretariats, you will discover that the secretariat complex, the environment looks like an isolated environment, which is supposed to be a very viable area, because that is supposed to be the heart of the government. But visit most state secretariat, you will see what I'm telling you. You visit some offices, some departments, some ministries, you will not have up to 10 to 15 staff, active staff working. Those are some of those ministries are supposed to have nothing less than 25, some departments, some ministry, 100 staff. And
yet there are vacancies.
There are vacancies.
Unemployed
good,
people.
And they are not employed. So what I'm telling you can be verified. We are not just speaking against or trying to talk against the government. No. You can visit some of those government parastatals, ask, request for the personnel, the active personnel. There you, and you see youth shouting. For instance, some of us personally have graduated over how many years ago, and have not gotten any government employment. Even when I desire to work for the government and be paid, I have not gotten. So tomorrow, if you see somebody like Opram Loveday, join protesters on the street and I'm carrying plans, you say, even Loveday too. It may get to that point, but we pray it doesn't get to that point. So employment is one thing that our government needs to do to, tranquilize and then to calm down the nerves of our unemployed youth.
Did you try to, when you tried, because from your statement, it looks like you tried to actually apply and get a job with the government. When you tried, what were the limitations?
Well, even positions that I merited by my qualification, you will see it stated there that so and so qualification is needed. You will apply. And some of us were even ready to go for physical interview. We are not, for me, I'm not scared of interview and all of that. But you will not see that opportunity. At the end of the day, you hear that the system, those merited have been published, people have been invited for interview, and you'll be asking yourself, what were the criteria, used to now engage those that were employed and all of that? So the system is, our system is so, I don't know, is so weak that the government needs to upgrade, seriously. And if we must solve this problem of hunger, as a young person, I'm speaking vehemently that the issue of unemployment will have to be reduced, and then government must, proactively invest on agriculture.
So when we talk about all of these issues, how do we then change the narrative to help the government to understand that this doesn't really go for everybody? What I'm talking about is changing the narrative of saying, oh, when they complain, we give them money, or we give them food and they keep quiet. When we still have the bad eggs who will spoil the efforts of the youths who are sincerely and genuinely trying to change things.
Well, for me, that there is no how you will organize a protest that you won't find wolves in sheep clothing. There is no how. That is where the security personnel, their professionalism comes into play. Don't we have security personnel? Don't we have security gadgets? So why can't those things be employed to monitor the system and then apprehend those that are trying to spoil the process? So for me, it's not the protester. The protester shouldn't be held responsible. So the security personnel should stand up and then do their job professionally.
But the protest is just one aspect, right?
Yeah.
There are many other aspects we're talking about from our conversation earlier.
Yes.
When we talk about the hungry people, we painted the scenario of how people used to rush and fight over some of these palliatives that come. So when we have these kind of people in our midst, right?
Yes.
How do we help the government understand that you can't just throw food at us and that ends it all? When we still have, because we still have these people who still dive at it. So we cannot even say we'll get to that point where, as they bring it, to tell them we don't want. Like yesterday, when one of the governors was addressing the protesters, and then he said, "I'm going to give you something to get pure water," and then the people shouted, "No, we don't want." But how do we ever get there? Because we still have people who will want it, and they'll still go for it.
Yeah, that is where the issue of orientation and sensitization comes into play. Of course, the youth, especially the elites among the youth, the informed youth, will still have a lot of job to do to sensitize the people. Of course, there is no how you will sensitize the people up to the point that everybody will now be very reasonable and rational. It's not possible. We are not in heaven. Even in developed countries, you still have irrational beings. You understand the point? But I will still maintain that the government needs to understand where the majority lies, what the majorities are saying. One of the ways to help to cushion that effect, if the government is also sincere, is for them to stop that. They should stop it and do something. For instance, if you want to help somebody that is hungry, why not ask the person, look, what can you do? What can you do? You can take it bit by bit, batch by batch. Okay, we'll have, let's say, 10,000 youth that says they are hungry. Government can set up one enterprise that will reduce that 10,000 to 7,000 or 4,000. Just one enterprise. Government can do that. Government can go individually. Look, out of these 10,000, if you have a personal skill, you have something you want to do, or something you love to do, let us know. Put up a small proposal. And governments, empowers that person and monitors that particular, and then document. The government should have database. Once you are being empowered to do a particular thing, what you propose to do, what you desire to do, and government invest, on that. And tomorrow, you start saying that government has not done. Government should be able to present so and so group of persons were in power.
Okay, go on.
For instance, I just said something about Agan. Now, the proposal that was submitted then, it was a proposal that covered the Niger Delta state. Yes, and now those of us that are members of Agan were to also benefit from that project. Now, if the government or NDDC, then we approach NDDC, if NDDC had funded that proposal, there is no Agan, that association. Tomorrow we come out and say that government or NDDC have not done something. NDDC should be able to say, Agan, we did so and so thing for you people. What did you do with the fund? How have you been able to manage the industry that was set up for you people to manage and oversee? And of course, Agan wouldn't have done that alone or manage the industry alone. Would have done that in partnership with Federal Minister of Agriculture, or even the various state Minister of Agriculture. So that is what the government should begin to consider doing, rather than throwing palliative or food distributing foodstuffs, that wouldn't help, to solve the problem. If you check the sustainability index or factor of that particular act, that's why some person said is an insult to them, because it cannot be sustained. There is no how the government can provide food for the masses. It's not just possible, but the government can create an enabling environment. The government can set up industries, production centers, no matter how small. And then you see the people, for instance, let me just say this as an agri professional. I installed a mill. There was one project I handled. Installed a mill. Just a 2 tons feed mill. 2 tons feed mill per hour, 2 tons capacity feed mill. That feed mill that I installed for a private individual, do you know that that feed mill had the capacity, or have the capacity of engaging over 200 to 500 youths within the environment? Because in that feed mill, you need bag. In that feed mill, you need designers, people that do printing, people that print on bag, because the feed mill company will have to print on their bag. In that feed mill, you need machine. You need people that knows how to seal the bag. In that feed mill, you need millers. In that feed mill, you need people that will come and pick up the feed and then distribute and sell. Then you need different outlets. After we considered the potentials of that particular project, we discovered that that particular project, just a single project, small, but can engage up to 200 youths, to 500 indirectly. So that is what we are seeing. There is something, and the government knows. I want to put it to them. The government is aware of what to do. But the reason they don't want to do it, so that some of us, we keep pledging our unsincere loyalty. Let me put it like that. We keep pledging loyalty to them, following them, calling them Oga, boss, this one here and there. Because once you are not hungry, my dear, you will know your rights.
The same way graduates are distributed around the states and to the various PPAs under the guise of, or under the scheme of the NYSC. That same way, can't we have these graduates distributed to different offices or different industries where they can actually work as staff this time?
Okay.
Not just as coppers after the NYSC. Or we can even say they should be retained where they get to serve. Some of these steps, if they are taken, would actually help reduce the cases of unemployment that we have in Nigeria. But let's get to look at the next story now.